Welcome to I Heart Geek.
And welcome to another episode of I Heart Geek. And Blythe is mocking me. This hurts my feelings.
Always, every time.
Hey, you want to see a magic trick? I don't know any, but luckily we're going to get some knowledge on that today.
Yeah.
This is Courtney's child today. We're doing this. That sounds weird, but you know.
I know, it's like Paul's my child apparently.
So let's start with me. I'm Dub, and I'm your your producer and stuff, and I write stuff, and I'm probably going to be editing this. I don't know. We'll see. And then we have Mr. Blythe. Who are you and what do you do, sir?
I'm the tech guy, and I do all the YouTube stuff and everything in the background, which makes me notice, Dub, your TV screen behind you just says Apple TV. I think you were going the logo, but now it's just Apple TV.
There we go. I'm sorry. Okay, and Miss Courtney, who are you? What do you do?
Hi guys, I'm Miss Geeky Page. I'm the Instagram girl, and I harass all of you on the Facebook page a lot.
You've been doing that a lot lately.
Well, I'm working from home.
Okay. Now we have a unspoken rule on the show that when someone brings in a guest, that they get to introduce them. So Courtney, introduce your special guest.
Yay! Here's today's special guest, my friend, magician, mentalist, and cultural anthropologist, Mr. Paul Draper.
Okay. Hi.
How you doing, Paul?
Hi, Paul.
So before we start, what is a cultural anthropologist?
Good question. What's your first guess at what an anthropologist studies?
Someone that studies culture.
Oh, good. That's good. You picked the first word out of it.
Well,
very often
the culture
people say you study bones. That's an archaeologist or a necrophiliac. I study living human cultures. I used to be an expert in the American spiritualist movement, Native American tribes of the American Southwest, the Bedouins of southern Iran, and then I transitioned into medical anthropology, studying culture within healthcare systems in places like the Navajo Nation and that. So then I left all that behind. I came to Vegas to teach at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, in the FDH building there. Had an office in the basement filled with asbestos. So my first national television show was Houdini Unlocking the Mystery on the History Channel.
Really?
An expert, yeah. When I was 23 years old, and I had to leave my office at UNLV to go shoot it in the Special Collections Department because they were removing asbestos from my office. But then I transitioned from that into performing magic and mentalism shows.
Nice.
Very cool.
Wow.
What a career.
How do you come across doing that? We're going to be talking to you a lot today.
Good.
It's all about Paul today.
I paid my way through college and graduate school doing magic shows. Mm-hmm. So my mother, my dear, sweet, sainted Jewish mother, can you saint a Jewish mother? But my Jewish mother,
why not?
She said, only that first Jew gets to be sainted, then none of the others. Sorry. So then she told me I had to become a professor, so I had something I could, stick with. And then after becoming a teacher, teaching at UNLV, I realized I can make more money in one corporate show than I can teaching a 3-credit hour semester-long course.
Wow.
And so at that point, it just made the right sense to go into entertainment.
Wow, that's really cool, actually. Okay, and we'll get to a bunch more on that stuff in a few minutes. I say the show's going to be mostly about Paul today because I don't know anything about magic. We're doing a show about magic today, and I don't know nothing about it. I'm one of my main event. I got to give this away. I am so impressed by anything that my favorite magic trick ever is either hide the quarter or any card trick impresses me. So I'm a very low bar as far as the magic stuff goes. So this is why we have experts on today. Now, Blythe, can you talk to us a little bit? Because we haven't talked about Redbubble forever. Can you talk to us real quick?
For sure. So wearing it right here, guys. I usually like to. Yep, we all got it on today, but we are still live on Redbubble. For anyone that's looking for that I Heart Geek product that they're looking to rock. I know a lot of us aren't going outdoors nowadays, but there are pajama pants and some get while you're lounging around your homes. So yeah, we're there. We've got 3 items. We have the I Heart Geek logo, we have the classic logo, and then we have the Keep On Geeking On with Hal in there. So yeah, definitely join us at the Redbubble link. It'll be in your description below. It'll be in the description for the podcast. You can just click that, and I believe there's like 64 items on there that you can get the logo on. So
yeah,
go check it out.
And yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. It's a lot of fun, and it's not too horribly expensive.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I'm going to jump into our first question. This is before we do our quote-unquote interview, but I want to ask everybody, when you're watching magic stuff, do you like knowing how the trick works, or do you like not knowing? Let's start with you, Courtney, because it looks like you have a definite opinion on this.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know because knowing takes away the
magic,
the fun of it, the innocence of it, the magic of it, if you will. I would much rather just be bamboozled because I'm a big old cynic, anyways. So I drop my cynicism when I watch magic.
Really, but you don't believe that it's ever real. You just suspend disbelief.
No, I know there's a logical explanation of the steps and the tricks and the when there's props and stuff. I know there's a reason all of it gets where it gets. I just don't want to know about it.
Fair enough.
I want to be bamboozled for a little bit.
Fair enough. Mr. Blythe?
Paul's gonna tell you right now that all of it's real and there's no logical explanation to it, so shut your mouth. I also don't like to be spoiled what the trick is. Like, as much as I want to know how it works, I like that feeling of being like, how did that even happen? I don't understand it, but I love it. Like, so yeah, I think there's some, maybe the more like grandiose tricks where there's like rigs of stuff involved. I'd want to know how they're done. Just because the engineering that goes
tech side,
these tricks are just, it's crazy. But like the smaller, like right in front of your face stuff, I think I'd much rather kind of keep that to the mysticism of it all.
Paul, I'd like to hear your take on this as a professional on it.
The truth is, when I go and see a stage play, like I go see Peter Pan and I see Mary Martin up there singing as Peter Pan, I don't stand up from my seat and go, "You're not Peter Pan! You're not even a boy! You're a girl! I can see your wires!"
No. I do that.
I'm very comfortable experiencing a piece of theater and understanding that. Now, the difference, this is a core difference I have to be honest about, between the difference between someone who goes on to a profession as a magician and someone who doesn't. Is that a normal person, a sane, rational person, sees a magic show and says, "Gee, that's lovely. I really enjoyed that experience of surprise and wonder, and now I'm going to have dinner and go home and snuggle my loved ones." A magician sees a magic show and says, "I cannot eat, I cannot sleep until I know how that's done, and I possess it." Nice. And so it's that sort of drive that makes someone a magician.
Well, that kind of reminds me of that show that Penn and Teller do about the greatest magic trick or whatever it is on the CW.
Called Fool Us.
Fool Us, that's the one.
And if you fool them, you get an FU trophy.
They're an incredible act. I really like them a lot.
That's very Penn and Teller.
But I really like how they do that. You can go as far as you want, as far as how much you want to know the trick, but they never do tell you how it works. I don't think so anyway.
Right.
Howard, what's your thoughts on, like, what was several years ago they had the masked magician that did all the exposing of the tricks and all that? Were you like angry about that, or it's like whatever?
So Val Valentino, who performed at the Stratosphere and was the masked magician, he
gave a name.
Yeah, he lost his career. No magician will sell him magic. No one will work with him. He's not allowed into any magic conventions. It was over.
Good.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you fully support that, I'm guessing?
I fully support that. Though when the man became ill and put up a fund to help support his medical bills, I sent money.
Wow.
But you know what? That's good of you.
I don't want him. I don't want him in the field, but I also don't think he needs to suffer.
Yeah.
So
that's fair.
So here, let's do a quick trick for you. Then
please.
Let me do something for you.
I'll be impressed.
Right. I'm going to have you help me. I want you to imagine. Here, I'll move my little table here, and I'll put it back in a second. I want you to imagine that I have a deck of cards right here.
Okay.
I'm going to pull out half. Do I pull out the red or the black?
Red.
Absolutely right. So I have the hearts and the diamonds. I'm going to throw away half. Do I throw away the hearts or throw away the diamonds?
Hearts.
Throw away the hearts. I have all the diamonds. Do I throw away the face cards or throw away the number cards?
Face cards.
The face cards are gone. Okay. Name one of the diamond number cards.
7.
The 7 of diamonds. Now, later on, you're going to wonder what would have happened if you would have said a different number. So I'm going to give you one chance to change your mind. Are you happy with the 7 of diamonds?
No, I'm going to use my instincts. 7 of diamonds.
Which one?
7.
The 7 of diamonds?
Yes.
7 of diamonds. So before this show, I want to show you. I don't have anything in my pocket over here. Nothing in my pocket over here. Down here. Nothing in my pocket there. In this pocket, I have one card, and one card only that I picked before it was time to see you, and it was. Oh wait. You know when I stepped off camera just now to put on my jacket? It's because I had to write down that you would get it off my watch.
Shut up! Oh my gosh!
That's amazing.
Right here, I have a little teacup. Can you see the little teacup?
He's on to the next one, Dub. He's on to the next one.
Is a little red ball. You see the little red ball?
Yeah.
Here, you might want to pinpoint me for this. You want to spot me. So here we come. Well, it picks up on sound and switches to the person. So here we are, the little red ball dropping the little cup. Little red ball into the red cup. If I take it out and I put it down here in my pocket that you just saw empty, is the ball under the cup or is it in my pocket, Courtney?
I'm going to go under the cup. But I'm
Under
usually
the
wrong
cup.
when you do this.
No, there's been no magic word. There's been no magic gesture. It is not under the cup. We are still in the realm of science.
So
Right here. I should have gone on the nerd podcast, so I could have gotten the right answer. There's nothing in
your pocket.
The cup is empty. The ball is in my pocket. But if we watch real close, here we go. I put it in there. Take it out. I put it back into my pocket. It's right there.
Okay.
It's in your pocket. I'm with you.
If instead now we do the magical gesture, like this, say abracadabra, now suddenly the ball comes right back there underneath the cup. Here, let me do it again. You watch the little ball. You can see exactly where it goes. Comes out of the cup, goes into my pocket. Here, we'll do it right in front of everybody. Right there in my hand. I blow like this, tiny little particles through the air. It's not under the cup, tiny little particles. Snap, wave, and the ball reappears right there underneath the cup. Magic.
Okay. Can I ask you a question? I'm not trying to find out how you did the trick, but I do have a question. Was that a force or was that a sleight of hand? Or can you say that? I don't know if that's even allowed.
Don't tell him, Paul. He doesn't need to know.
I'm not trying to figure out how it is. I'm just curious what it is.
There are 3 answers to how every trick is done. It's either four. There are 4 answers. It's either mechanical, sleight of hand, psychological, or Satanism. And
I think it's Satanism on both of these.
I love how every magician has the ability for teleportation, but they don't want to share it with the world.
Well, the problem is it's easy to teleport short distances, but if you start trying to teleport over vast distances, your soul can't catch up. So,
all right.
Oh, I don't even know what to say because my mind is like.
it changes the way you think about Star Trek. McCoy was right.
He's
Now
not
he's
a
on the
doctor.
Geek
He's a magician. So, Courtney, you have any questions for Paul? Because my mind is like reeling right now.
No, because usually when I have a question for Paul, I just text it.
Ask
Go, how do they do this?
Does he tell you?
No.
No.
No, he doesn't usually. I guess, Paul, what would be kind of cool, and maybe if you tell everybody about your career. I mean, you've done some pretty cool stuff. Like you mentioned before we started recording that you were the house magician for the Venetian. Just recently you were doing magic at Disney, downtown Disney. And then also maybe talk about the Magic Castle, which is that's kind of cool too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was the house magician at the Venetian, where they insisted that I perform as a 1400s Roman Catholic Italian dude. So it was, buongiorno amici, mi chiamo Paolo, I'm here for you, canzone for you, che bella cosa, una giornata sole, l'aria serena d'una tempesta.
We have Kosh back on the show.
Yeah, it was fun. Then, like I said, I was the last magician still performing at Disneyland. My contract allows me to perform in downtown Disney, Club 33, the Golden Horseshoe. I performed for Dick Van Dyke's birthday party and Valentine's Day party, for J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot's Christmas party.
What?
The TMZ harassed me for weeks after the J.J. Abrams event.
Oh, I bet.
Then that was terrifying. They came to my home. And so then, I mean, I've had a neat career. When I was still working at the Venetian, I hosted House Hunters on Home and Garden. I was on a show called Home and Family on the Hallmark Channel. I was a family member, regular on that show, and I've been an expert on several shows. So yeah.
What was the one that you were on that they went to the Fear Factory?
Oh yeah, I was on Ghost Adventures. I was
right.
on a couple episodes of Ghost Adventures.
Paul owns a haunted house too.
Yeah.
I do have a question. Do you buy into any of the supernatural stuff at all?
I am a practicing religious Jew. I
so
have an invisible friend.
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, yes, I believe in supernatural things.
That's not like I'm
there's no way to separate that.
I'm not trying to do like a gotcha just because you were on Ghosted, so I was kind of curious.
Right. I mean, yeah, I desperately want to believe in supernatural things and ghosts. It's part of why, as an anthropologist, I studied the American Spiritualist movement. It's why I've been part of the James Randi Educational Foundation.
I like Randy,
suss out psychics. It's why I've done a lot of this. The bad news is so far, any provable material paranormal thing that I've gone to study so far has been a magic trick. So I wish that weren't so, but it is. That doesn't mean it's not real. It just means I haven't seen it.
That's fair enough. That's very agnostic of you.
Yes.
So I want to do a little bit of a rewind here. You mentioned you performed inside Club 33, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's a hidden club, right?
Yeah,
that's the hidden club at Disneyland.
That's a hidden. That's crazy. Is it as crazy as people make it out to believe?
No. It is a restaurant in New Orleans Square at Disneyland. I mean, it is. The crazy thing is there are celebrities and billionaires that are there eating dinner.
Mm-hmm.
But it is literally there is a doorway that says 33. That is not the doorway. There's another doorway that says 33. That is the doorway. They now have two of them because they how to remodel and change the entrance. But you go up a flight, you come into a lobby. There's a little gift shop. There are usually three beautiful, highly educated women who are there to be your hosts. You're taking up a staircase. There's someone playing piano. There's another gift shop upstairs. There's a men's and women's restroom that are the cleanest ones in the park. They actually have mirrors,
That's
unlike
worth
the
it.
other ones at Disney. They have a bar area with musicians and sometimes magicians. They have a restaurant area where they have white gloved maitre d's and servers that lift the silver serving trays off your dishes simultaneously. They crumb your table, but other than that, it is a restaurant in Disneyland.
So it's just a place for the higher class to kind of get away from all the hustle and bustle.
All the well-to-do walking on Disney Avenue. Yeah. With their noses in the air. That's a song put on the Ritz. That has nothing to do with Disney. Nothing.
Do they, as Disney being kind of the incredible corporate entity that they are, do they like tell you what tricks you can do, or they push you one way or the other on what you're doing?
I am very lucky in my contract. As far as I know, I'm the first mentalist to ever work at Disney. And they're giving me lots of leeway. They're allowing me to keep my beard. They allow me to keep my long hair as long as I put it under a hat when I'm in the park itself, but I don't have to hat it when I'm in 33 or in downtown Disney. They let me do anything I want to do as long as it's clean and kind and friendly. The audition process for Disney was fabulous. I think about the first time I auditioned for Phantom of the Opera, and I showed up at 7 a.m. and at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they finally said I could come in. They brought me in with 7 people in front of the auditioners. They looked up at us and went, "Nope, thanks," and didn't even let any of us sing. It was just cattle call and go.
Yeah.
Versus Disney had vetted me before they auditioned me.
Mm-hmm.
And so they gave me a room that was all mine. I was able to go into it an hour before the audition to set up. I was able to have it for an hour after the audition to tear down. 5 crew members came in to watch me. We spent 30 minutes doing magic and 30 minutes just spending time interviewing each other. So they cared as much about me as a person as the magic that I performed, and then hired me on the spot. So it was really, they gave me food and drink, and it was the nicest audition I've ever had.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Let me ask this. What is a mentalist? What is the difference?
Good question.
He's been waiting for that one.
I have been waiting.
Nothing is preset on this, guys. Nothing but our script. Yeah. So
right. So a mentalist. It's about what we got back to a little bit ago. Whether what you're doing for your magic is mechanical secrets, you're an illusionist. Sleight of hand secrets, in which case you're a sleight of hand artist. Or psychological secrets, in which you're a mentalist. A mentalist uses tools of psychological secrets in order to control your actions, predict your actions, manipulate your actions, in order to use the power of the mind to create the magic. So that's the core difference. That looks like, here, we'll try this. We're going to change the set ever so slightly. These are ESP cards. You might remember them, used by Dr. Rhine at Duke University, used by Dr. Venkman on Ghostbusters. Just like that, we have the plus, the square, bacon, star, circle, right? Plus, square, bacon, circle, and star, the same 5 symbols on both sides. Let's have you help me again. Do you want to have your pile be the pile on the right or the pile on the left?
The right.
On the right, all right. So this is what I'll do. I'm going to mix up my cards, and I'll place one card face down like this. Which card do you think that is? Plus, square, star, wavy, or circle?
Bacon. It's funny. That's the only one that I made a joke about. And because of that, you are, of course, inclined to choose the bacon. Wow. And this happens every time.
It does with you.
So do you have to like get a read on somebody? Like, okay, well, you've talked to me for a few minutes. I like making jokes, so therefore that's kind of where you do that, or is this?
So I have to use all the skills I have to suss it out and put myself there, because it is in mentalism. It's very clean. It's right there. I can't change it. That's where it is. And so I have to use those skills in order to create a situation where I come out ahead as the psychic or mentalist.
That is
So
absolutely amazing. I'm an easy audience, I know. That is so cool. I'm sorry. Okay, let's go back for a minute.
Agreed.
You were talking about the Magic Castle. Now, this is something I've heard about in passing a million times throughout my life. What is it?
I got to go because of him.
Yeah, the Magic Castle in Hollywood, California. So two brothers, one who was the lead writer on a television show called Truth or Consequences, and the other one who was the lead producer on television shows like Green Acres, had a father who was a full-time lawyer and an amateur magician, and a mother who had been a magician doing a children's magic television show on television in Los Angeles at the time. They came together, signed a contract with a big, huge mansion in the heart of Hollywood, one block up from the Grauman's Chinese Theater, where they put their hands in the cement and have the stars on the Walk of Fame. And they built a international clubhouse for magicians. And we've had past presidents like Clark Gable and Neil Patrick Harris, as well as lots of famous magicians as our past presidents of the organization. It has a non-profit arm and also a for-profit arm at the Magic Castle. And they have, at this point, it's a full restaurant, 5 bars, 5 showrooms, 14 shows a night. Then people can come up if you are a member or a guest of a member and experience a night of food, drinks, and magic.
That's really cool.
And so they have 10,000 magicians a year asked to perform there, and they book 250 of them. So far, I have been lucky enough to have worked there for every year, at least twice a year, for the last 15 years.
So
and
not to brag, but you're good, right?
Yeah. I was supposed to be performing there the final week in March, but I'll be back when it reopens.
That's awesome. Really cool. Okay, now I know that it's gauche to ask, who are the crappy magicians to work with. I'm not going to ask you that. Who are the coolest magicians that you've worked with or dealt with on a personal or magical level?
Chris Angel always pays on time.
That was the best finding a positive I've ever seen in my life.
Most diplomatic answer ever.
Yeah. I've never had a good experience with him, but that's me.
Tyler was a Latin teacher, a high school Latin teacher, and is an intellectual person, is a writer, loves Shakespeare, is a brilliant, engaging, fun person to be around and to learn from. Penn is just like the person you see on his podcast.
Well, which means I want to be Penn's friend more than anything else. I want to Penn and talk to him. He doesn't have to be on the show. I just want to talk to Ben.
Yeah, you can. You can go after his live performances, and Penn and Teller always sit outside the theater, and they shake every guest's hand and take photos and talk to them. And Penn, because Penn remembers being poor earlier in his life, every person that paid for a ticket is his boss. So he says, "Thanks, boss. Thanks, boss. Thanks, boss," to everybody that comes out.
That's cool.
So I loved a magician named Doug Henning, who was on TV in the 70s. He also was on Captain Kangaroo and the Muppets, and
it's the world of magic.
It's a world of magic. It's about magic. It's about wonder. His Broadway show Merlin, his Broadway show The Magic Show, was the most successful show in the history of Broadway at the time, prior to Cats and Phantom and Hamilton. His second show Merlin starred Nathan Lane, Cheetah Rivera, and Christian Slater had roles in it. So.
Blythe is too young for all of that.
He's way too young for all this.
Yeah, Blythe doesn't. Dub, you might remember Doug Henning. I remember Doug Henning because he was my first introduction into magic. And it was probably... Didn't he do, primetime specials too.
Oh yeah, he had 8 primetime specials.
Yeah,
and his
he used to
opening
wear
act on
suspenders and like his t-shirts usually had like they'd have rainbows on them,
Right,
like
right.
happy faces. Yeah.
He was the hippie magician, but his opening act for his first special was a unknown comedian named Bill Cosby. So,
Woo, he learned a magic trick too.
Oh boy.
You can take that from, he drew pictures. He did picture pages. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, of course. So but no, I've been very lucky. Magic is one of those fields where you get a chance to meet your heroes.
Mhm.
You know, it's one of those industries where whoever your heroes are in the world of magic, you do get to meet them, spend time with them, learn from them, trade with them, all of that good stuff.
Wow. So how did, speak back to what Courtney said, that Henning was their first introduction. Who was your first introduction? I know Penn has a great story about, how he felt like he got duped and all that. Do you have a story about how you got into magic? And
there was on TV for me was Harry Blackstone Jr. And Harry Blackstone Jr., he appeared on Reading Rainbow.
Reading Rainbow.
Butterfly.
For all big fans, yes.
With Geordie LaForge. And
the only name he needs.
Yeah, he was on Reading Rainbow. He was also on a show called Square One TV that used to play in classrooms during homeroom. He did a lot of neat stuff, and he was sort of my first television magician. My first magician I saw a full show of was a guy named Paul Brewer in Utah, and then a few weeks later, Christopher Fair. Christopher Fair was the original court jester at Disneyland. He was the magician on opening day at Disneyland.
Oh,
and
wow.
He's mentioned in Steve Martin's book, Born Standing Up.
Which is a great book, by the way.
Martin to juggle. But the first magic trick I ever saw, I randomly walked into a magic show at a community fair, and there was a magician on stage, and he performed a trick. Let's see if I have the props here that I could do it. Give me 1 second. I'm going to grab a pair of scissors. So there we go. I walked in mid-trick.
Okay.
And he had 2 kids on stage, and they each pulled a rope like this. And then he took the rope, right, and he took it very cleanly right at the middle, cut it in half. Boom. Cut the rope in half, took the rope, tied it into a knot right there. So it's 2 pieces of rope tied with a knot. He then wiggled his fingers over the little knot, slid the knot off the end, and threw that knot into the audience, and it landed where I caught it. I then picked it up and decided this guy cannot continue this trick without this knot, and it pisses me off, so I'm going to take the knot and leave. So I took the knot.
I like you. Okay.
I was 6 years old. I took the knot and I left. And I didn't learn how to do that trick until I was 40 years old.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that's kind of a standard one, that trick or that variation. But
right.
So, why did it take so long to get to it? You just never
because
bothered,
I decided that I liked that it had fooled me. But
awesome.
When I had several interviews ask me the question in the last couple of years of the first magic trick I ever saw, I remembered that story, and I went, well, I better learn the trick.
Nice.
Very cool.
Wow. Okay, so we're going to do a little magic here, and Paul's going to disappear for a second, but we're going to go on to our listener feedback.
And now, let's see what all of our geek rock stars have to say.
Okay, so to tweak everybody out, so you notice he disappeared. It's kind of cool, huh? We're going to have Blythe do the listener feedback today because...
What?
Because
there's not that many, and I don't read so good.
And I do have to say, this will be Blythe's last show for a while.
Yeah.
Popping out a baby, hopefully today.
Hopefully.
Well, she's popping out the baby. He's gonna watch.
I don't know if I'll be there. Our listener feedback for today is: who is your favorite magician, illusionist, and why? So we have Christina Belden. She said, my husband, because he's always manages to leave a mess right in front of me, and he is the king of sleight of hand.
And knowing them both, I can agree. It's amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
We have T.C. Harvey. The voice of the show, and he said David Blaine performs eye-popping, mind-boggling tricks, but is rather shy, humble dude who shuns the big life that so many other magicians pursue. We have Dino Gengel. For nostalgia's sake, Doug Henning,
the world of magic.
He used to have TV specials in the 80s and saw him live as a kid. So that's super cool to be able to see someone that you saw on TV.
I feel like it was the 70s. Maybe it was the 70s into the 80s, because I was really young. And I'm 107 now. I was really young when Doug Henning was on TV.
Early 80s are basically 70s.
The 70s, yeah.
With spandex.
Yeah.
And then we have PB&Jason. He said, I've seen a few magicians live. None were as seamless as Lance Burt.
Okay, and thanks everybody for doing your feedbacks, and we appreciate it, and all that other stuff that we said before. And let's move on to the main event, where we're going to see Paul reappear. Abracadabra.
Like magic.
Now it's time for the main event.
So, yeah, I know we didn't do the music, but we're doing our main event today. Actually, we did do the music. Silly me. I forget these things.
You're running the music, Dub.
I am. I do that. It's in the future. So,
I know.
Instead of doing a normal top 5, I want to ask everybody kind of what is the most amazing tricks you've ever seen. We can go around, and I'm really dying to hear what Paul has to say on this. But let's see, mine is my first one I want to talk about is the Penn and Teller catch a bullet in your teeth, which is just, honestly, that's one of those ones I've tried to figure out. I don't see it. And I know they'll tell you if you ask enough. He said, well, if you want to tell me, if you want to ask, I'll tell you. And I don't want to know, but I want to know. It's so mind blowing on that. So what are some of the tricks that have really inspired y'all? Let's start with Courtney.
My favorite trick I've ever seen, I think I've told Paul this before, is I went and I saw Penn and Teller with my cousin, and Teller does this sleight of hand where he puts a rose in a vase on a table toward the front of the stage. And then he stands back, and there's a easel with a canvas, and it's got the roses illuminated, so the shadow of the rose is on the canvas.
Mm-hmm.
He takes out a knife and he starts cutting little bits of the shadow. And as he does this, parts of the rose fall off. And I know there's a logical explanation. It's probably relatively easy. But the way Teller performs it is just enchanting.
Yeah.
And it's one of the ones that has stuck with me. And I probably saw them perform 15 years ago. So, I can still remember every little cut he made, because it was such a well-done trick. And it's cool to watch.
It's the showmanship that really just does something different.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite part of that, it's called shadows. And in the end of it, he cuts the shadow of his hand, and his own hand starts to bleed.
That's right. Yep. I knew there's blood in there somewhere, but yeah. It's been a while, but yeah, and remember, Teller's the silent one, so Teller doesn't talk on stage. So this is literally all done in complete silence as he just piece by piece cuts the shadow of the rose, and the rose itself feels the sting, so to speak. So I dug it.
Penn and Teller, question thing before we get to your guys' favorites. From what I understand, Teller is now on podcast. You hear him talk now. Did the contract end, or did he just say, "Okay, I'm done with the whole silent routine"? Do you know?
The rule that he made for himself years ago was that you would not hear him talk and see him talk at the same time. So he's talked on things before with his mouth covered, or talked, or he speaks on The Simpsons on a couple episodes, or he's been interviewed on documentaries. But the rule he made for himself is that he wanted to be the silent film star. With one look, I can break your heart. Right?
The only one that gets that.
I get it. So okay, before I just was from what I understand, is a pretty hard line. No one heard him talk, but it's gotten a lot more lately, which I don't have an issue with it. I would love to hear him talk.
Do you know that Penn and Teller used to have a third act?
No.
It was Penn and Teller and Michael Motion, and they were not called Penn and Teller. They were called the Asparagus County Cultural Society. And Michael Motion got a big gig being the hands of David Bowie in Labyrinth, where he got to do the ball juggling was the hands of David Bowie in Labyrinth. Nice. And he said, "It's my big break. I don't need you, Penn and Teller."
Oops.
Oops.
No, I think
that was a career mistake.
They work so well as a duo anyway. Blythe, give me one of yours.
So, as of recently, there's a I don't know if you guys have seen it on Netflix, but it's called Magic for Humans. Justin Willman is the magician. Mm-hmm. There's so many tricks on that show that just blow my mind, and you know me, I do the YouTube stuff, and I work with like video editing and things like that, and I always end up like looking to see if there's like edit marks in some of his tricks, because I just don't, and I can't find them. There's one where he like pretends to steal a purse, and when he steals the purse, he runs around the corner, and a cop car comes up, and he gets out of the cop car to question the person whose purse he just stole, and it's like instant. Like I can't figure. There's like a moment where the cop car is in shot, and he's running around the corner in shot, and it's just one of those things like we were talking about earlier. Like I get that he does something, but I don't want to know what it is, because it's so crazy to be able to pause the video and see what would be two of him in the same frame. It's crazy.
So Justin Willman, who's the star of that show, when I first met him, he was a college magician, performed at colleges under the name of Justin Credible.
Great wrestler too.
And he was just incredible. And then he became the host of a popular television show on the Food Network called Cupcake Wars. And he hosted Cupcake Wars for years, and now he's doing Magic for Humans. He just released the new season of it just a couple of days ago. Really great guy. He and I have done many shows together. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely be. I know it came out, I think, yesterday, season 3. And I told my fiance, I'm like, that's what we're doing this weekend. We're going to be watching that show. Cause
let's be honest, Abracadabra, you're having a baby this weekend.
Yeah.
We all know this is happening. Okay, Paul, let me ask you, and I'm going to kind of separate this up. Give me your favorite trick that you've ever seen, and I want to hear the favorite trick that you've ever done.
Yeah, those are both great questions. My favorite trick that I've ever done, the truth is there's nothing that's a trick that I love just 100% the trick of. This is just a little bamboo mat. I'll wrap it into a little bundle, and suddenly, I don't know if you can hear that. Can you hear it? A little bird in a bird cage singing right there? What I like is whatever trick I'm doing next. What makes me happy is to keep doing new things, performing new things. There's not really a moment. There have certainly been times that people have hired me to do extreme things, like John Deere Tractor hired me to magically produce a thresher and 2 tractors in the middle of a cement floor in a convention center in Denver, or I produced $1 million cash, real money, and 2 dancing girls in a cage that had previously been filled with fire to raise money for building a new theater for a university, or things like that. But any of this stuff is not my favorite. My favorite is performing today, performing tomorrow, trying something new. Today at 2 over Zoom, I'm having a friends and family show where I'm charging people way less than my normal ticket prices, and even giving away shows for free to people beneath the poverty line, so that I can try and test new things, so that I can grow as a performer. My favorite piece of magic I've ever seen right now, I think the finest piece of mentalism in the world is performed by Grand Illusionist David Copperfield at the MGM Resort in Las Vegas. He throws out a frisbee to 3 people. He gets them each to name letters and numbers, and also to say things like what their favorite vacation destination is, and what their favorite color is, and what their favorite animal is. He then lowers a box from the ceiling that's been up there the entire time. Inside there is written all of the things that people said, and 2 metal license plates for a car, stamped in metal license plates that are stamped with the letters and numbers that those people that randomly caught the frisbees randomly named. And then he brings up those people on stage, makes a car appear on stage, and that car has the license plates on it with those numbers. I think that's spectacular.
Yeah.
One of the most beautiful things is who we mentioned earlier, Doug Henning, and now a fellow named Greg Gleason in Vegas does it, where you have a lovely woman lying on the stage, and jets of water shoot up and lift her up into the air, and she levitates on the jets of water. You take a big metal ring and swing a hoop of steel that's lit on fire, and it runs through the water, and there's nothing holding her up. The water disappears. The fire hoop goes again. She's still levitating. The water comes back up and then lowers her back down to the ground, and then she's covered in a sheet and vanishes and reappears in the back of the theater. I think that's stunning. I think it's amazing. But I am not a grand illusionist and have no desire to be. I've done it for a few gigs once in a while. What I like is moments of wonder and magic, one-on-one with people.
Well, that's what you're getting kind of today.
Yeah.
Over the Zoom. Last question before we get you out of here, because I know you got stuff to do after this.
Yeah.
The movie The Illusionist. What's your thoughts on that one?
I liked The Illusionist very much. I liked The Illusionists more than I liked The Prestige. Though The Prestige, the original book written by Christopher Priest, is quite good. It has some basis in magic. One of the characters has some basis based on some magic that was performed by a man named Jonathan Pendragon of the Pendragons. But The Illusionist is very based in history of magic. It is based on the character of the person, Robert Houdin. My French is horrible, Jean-Eugene Robert Houdin, or Houdin. But Houdini, Eric Weiss, the little Jewish kid from Hungary who grew up in Appleton, Wisconsin, he wanted to be like Robert Houdin, and that's why he came up with the name Houdin-E. And so he thought that putting the I on the end made it like Houdin. And that man was a watchmaker. Instead, in The Illusionist, they made him a carpenter, right? And he built his own illusions and all of that. But there are and he did the orange tree, and he did with the butterfly, and he had all those pieces. I'm also a huge fan of Paul Giamatti. And I thought that Jessica Biel has been a magician's wife in several movies now. It was, though I was at the Magic Castle performing when, from The Prestige, he also played Wolverine.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman, when he showed up to the castle to do research for that part, I was one of the shows that he saw, and so that was nice. But I do prefer The Illusionist to The Prestige, even though it's slower and less action-packed. I like it more.
Yeah, that was actually part of why I really was amped about doing the show. I'm like, ooh, The Illusionist, huh? And then I'm a nerd. I know. I get it.
Wait a minute. Why is he allowed on the Geek Podcast? He's just a self-described nerd.
Okay,
because he runs the joint.
We've been trying to get him out of here for a long time, Paul.
Yeah, good luck running the show without me.
He runs the joint. We don't have a choice.
That hurts my feelings. Okay. Okay, well, let's start getting out of here. Paul, tell us where people can get a hold of you and all that fun stuff.
Right. So if you want to see behind the scenes things and rehearsals and thoughts on magic and even learn some magic, you can join my Patreon page for as little as $5, which is patreon.com/Paul Draper. You can search for me everywhere the internet is served by typing in either Paul W. Draper or Paul Draper, because there is a singer for the band Manson in England also named Paul Draper. So sometimes I get to be Paul Draper, sometimes I'm Paul W. Draper, because I was born Paul Weston Weinstein Walker Draper. I'm the original WWW. But yeah, I'm on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Pinterest, on TikTok, on MySpace? Anyone?
Oh boy,
Bueller? But it's still I'm on anywhere the internet is served. Type in Paul W. Draper or Paul Draper, you will find me.
Nice.
If you sign up for his newsletter, it comes to your email and it tells you like where is Paul going to be and all that good stuff.
And we'll have that in the link.
2,000 people that are on my newsletter, and I send it out about 10 times a year, regular. So
we'll get that information down in the description below and on our podcast descriptions as well for anyone that's interested. I know I'm interested.
Yeah, I'm signing up.
You now.
I think you're either the devil or like an angel. I don't know which one yet.
Dub, you're gonna love.
I'm excited.
Because Paul will post clips of him doing tricks here and there,
and
it's always fun because I like the ones where you're duping the small children.
And it's like duping me?
Well, because I remember one where I think you were doing the it wasn't the piece of candy in the bag trick, but it was the bubble trick. And the little girl you had pulled on stage, she just was blown away.
Lost
like
her freaking mind.
Away. You watch the video and she goes,
look, the key to performing magic for children. The key to performing magic for children is understanding that to them, nothing is magic, right? Because everything is magic. They don't know what works and what doesn't work. And really, you're bringing up the child to have a one-on-one conversation with a human being that you give incredible agency to, and you celebrate that child, because that's something most children don't get. They're told what to do, where to go, when to go to sleep. So instead, if you celebrate them, and then you share in the amazement together, that I'm as amazed as they are, and suddenly if the adult is amazed as I am, then this is really amazing. And you can have these really pure moments of surprise and wonder that just are delightful. And so I've really, I go back and I watch people who did it right, like Dora the Explorer and Bill Nye the Science Guy, Barney, Mr. Rogers, all these characters, and I see what they've done, Blue's Clues, to re-inspire myself to give children agency and give them real joy.
That's awesome.
That's good stuff.
You have now got the biggest fan now. I am in. Okay, well, thanks for coming on. Take a listen to the end of the show. That tells you where to find everything. And until next time, I'm Dub.
I'm Blyze.
I'm Miss Geeky Page.
And I'm Paul. Thanks, everybody.
Keep on geeking on, guys.
You have been listening to the latest episode of the iHeart Geek Show. Make sure you visit our website at www.iheartgeekshow.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you check us out on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And keep on geeking on to all of you geek rock stars.